Coming to you live from the planet Arrakis, it's the Movie Changeup podcast. So we have a little special episode for you today. Normally we're pitching against each other, trying to come up with a Mount Rushmore, doing something different. But today we decided we're going to reveal our nominees for the movies of 2021. It's kind of like our own little personal Oscars. Not everyone agrees all the time with the Oscar nominations. We even have done an Oscar nomination reaction, so you can check that out and see our full thoughts on kind of the nominees that the Oscars have put out. But we decided, screw the Oscars, we're going to have our own awards, and so we're going to reveal the nominees for the 2021 movie awards. You know, we have a lot of the same categories that the Oscars do: Best Actor, Best Actress, but we also have some other fun ones like Worst Scene or Best Ending, or which actor had the best overall 2021. Johnny, you had a little bit of hand in creating this list. I think it was kind of your idea to do. Uh, any movie you're rooting for to be nominated for our 2021 Movie Changeup Awards.
You know, there are a couple. My favorites of the year that didn't get any Oscar love were The Green Knight, Pig, and 9 Days. So I'm hoping, we all kind of put our favorites together and made lists based on each of our individual picks. So I'm hoping those shine through and escaped with some nominations.
All right, and Bobby, I know you haven't seen quite as many of us. Are you hoping for some big blockbusters or some movies you've seen to make it on the make some nomination appearances?
Yeah, I'm looking for Pig, which Johnny mentioned. I just watched that today, actually, and I loved that one. Also, Tick Tick Boom, which I know Tristan at least loved, so I'm hoping he pushed pretty hard to get it on at least one of these lists. And then Dune as well, which was an Oscar favorite. But I'd like to see that get some love here, too.
All right, and Tristan, I know you loved Spider-Man: No Way Home, favorite movie of the year. You're not a real big fan of the smaller movies. You're a big blockbuster guy. So, are you rooting for movies like Home Sweet Home Alone and other? Space Jam: A New Legacy. I knew you were a big fan of that. Is that kind of the movie you're hoping is kind of leads our nomination pack?
Yeah, I mean, the most that I really want is every Netflix original this year has to be on this list. You know, all of those really top tier, high quality films. There's somebody in your house. You know, that's a great high quality movie. You got to nominate that. There's some great Netflix trash this year. He's All That. You know what? Where's that in Best Picture? I really hope we can get some representation for the streaming originals that nobody watched. You know, those are going to be the real winners.
All right.
Tristan's wearing a Dear Evan Hansen shirt, so that's probably what he's most rooting for as well.
It'll be here somewhere, I think. Maybe.
All right, Johnny.
Maybe not where I want it.
It might show up.
Johnny, are you ready to kick off our first category of Best Actor?
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like our nominations for Best Actor in alphabetical order are Nicolas Cage from Pig, Winston Duke from 9 Days, Andrew Garfield from Tick Tick Boom, Will Smith from King Richard, and Denzel Washington from The Tragedy of Macbeth.
All right.
I think that's a pretty solid list of five there.
All right. Is there any you're specifically rooting for? Any you're surprised to see made the list? Johnny?
I would say that we agree with the Oscars more in this category than others. We have 3 of the 5 that they did. The outliers here are Nicolas Cage in Pig and Winston Duke from 9 Days, which are a couple of smaller films. So I'm excited to root for one of those because it doesn't have a chance to win the Oscar. But I think any of the 5 is a great choice here.
All right. And Bobby, are you ready to lead off our nominations of Best Actress?
Yeah, let's do it. So the movie change-up nominations are, is it Agatha? What is her name? Roselle from Titan or Titan. Amelia Jones from Coda. Jodie Comer from The Last Duel. Kristen Stewart from Spencer. And Tessa Thompson from Passing.
All right. And I know maybe you haven't seen all of these movies, but is there one of these performances you're really looking forward to checking out?
Personally, I'm really looking forward to see Kristen Stewart's performance. Even though I don't know if that'll be like the movie for me. I'm a really big fan of her and I'm going to be rooting for her to win this. So I kind of want to see what it's like, and she looks fantastic in it. So hoping it lives up to it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not
And
the
Spencer is now on Hulu.
yeah. Yeah, it's not the type of movie I would normally go for, but I was a big fan of the director's previous movie Jackie, which kind of chronicled Jackie Kennedy's life immediately after the JFK assassination. So definitely one I'm looking forward to checking out. And Tristan, you ready to read off our nominations for Best Supporting Actor?
Yeah, I got our nominations, the Movie Changeup nominations for Best Supporting Actor. We have Alex Wolff in Pig, Ben Affleck in The Last Duel, Jason Isaacs from Mess, Cody Smith McPhee from The Power of the Dog, and Troy Koster from Coda.
All
I
right.
think that's a really strong list right there. I think this is a really packed category this year. A lot of good people you could pull from, and I think we talked about the Oscars earlier, and some of these are Oscar choices too, like Troy Koster. So I think he could have a good shot at winning here. But there's also some people who didn't get Oscar nominations that I think deserved it, like Jason Isaacs from Mass didn't get an Oscar nomination, but I think absolutely deserved to have that. So I'm glad he's here. And I'm personally pulling for Ben Affleck from The Last Duel. I know he's coming off of a Razzie for this exact same performance here, but I think he was great in it, and I think he really gave one of the best performances of his career, honestly. And I would love to see him come through and win this one. At least not from the Oscars, but from the movie change-ups. He can take ours.
All right. And yeah, I'll read my category, which is, I believe, Best Supporting Actress, which I scrolled by on my phone, and that's why I can't find it. Best Supporting Actress, our Movie Change-Up nominations. We have Ann Dowd from Mass, Katherine Hunter from The Tragedy of Macbeth, Kirsten Dunst from The Power of the Dog, Rebecca Ferguson from Dune, and Ruth Negga from Passing. I've only not seen two of these movies, Mass and Tragedy of Macbeth, but I think Kirsten Dunst, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ruth Negga gave all really well, solid performances, and I'm definitely excited to check out the other two and see how they stack up and which one is going to win the prestigious honor of winning the first ever Best Supporting Actress Movie Changeup Award, which I think by the 80th iteration of this is going to be more prestigious than the Oscars. So
We're on our way up there.
we shall see how this goes. And
It will be after year one.
yeah. All right, Johnny, you ready to read off our nominees for Best Director for the first ever Movie Changeup Awards?
Yeah, I'll say this one was a little hotly contested here because everything else we had a lot of crossovers. This one we didn't have quite as much crossover. So our nominations for Best Director for the Movie Changeup Awards are Jane Campion from The Power of the Dog, Julia Ducournau from Titane, David Lowery from The Green Knight, Denis Villeneuve from Dune, and Edgar Wright from Last Night in Soho.
All right. And I was going to ask after we had made it one cycle around, but I'll ask now. Does anyone have anything they want to say about any of the other categories that they didn't get to reveal?
I think we have a good collection here for director. We're right on director now, and I think a solid range here from Edgar Wright doing his kind of very much Edgar Wright thing, but to a different way. To Jane Campion's very small, very tight Power of the Dog. You have Green Knight, that's this big bombastic kind of fairy tale type story. And Dune, of course, a sci-fi epic. So I really like that we covered such a wide range of ways to direct movies. From small to personal to this huge epic movies.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I think we're all good.
All right, and that brings us to Bobby revealing Best Ensemble Cast.
Yeah, so we have Coda, Mass, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Last Duel, and Tick, Tick, Boom. And I have seen two of these, Tick, Tick, Boom and Spider-Man, and the cast was great in Tick, Tick, Boom, but I'm guessing that there are others with a stronger overall cast, because I think Andrew Garfield definitely leads the way in that one, even though there are some really good, strong side performances. I'm really curious if you guys think The Last Duel is, because I hear, with that one, that the cast kind of drives that movie, all of them. So if that one has a chance, I don't know what you guys think. Tristan, how about you?
Yeah, I think The Last Duel has a really
Yeah,
good shot because the
I
cast drives that so much, and the performances drive that so much. And whether it's Ben Affleck, like I praised Ben Affleck earlier, but I think Adam Driver is great in this. I think Jodie Comer is great in this. All of these actors really play their roles really well, really well. And also, when I look at an ensemble, I think of like the outside of the star actors, like the small people, like the people you see around in the roles behind the main actors, and you think like, do they fit? Were they out of place? And I look at Last Duel, and like every actor they find looks like somebody who could have been out of that time period, and every guy has the crazy long beards, and they look like they're kind of like these unkempt knights. So I think they filled up the background really well too, which is something that I like in an ensemble.
Definitely.
Cool.
So now, obviously, we learned Bobby, big Andrew Garfield stan, will only see a movie if Andrew Garfield in it.
Yep.
It's in it.
Definitely. Yeah, the only two I saw.
Yeah. All right, Tristan, you ready to reveal one of our new fun
Yeah,
categories?
Bobby loves his Andrew Garfield.
Johnny on the delay here.
Yeah. Tristan, you ready to reveal?
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah. For
Yeah, I'm ready for our best individual scene.
Yep.
We have from Pig the "Can I speak to your chef?" diner scene, which is one of the viral scenes of Pig, where Nick Cage kind of slowly but surely talks down this guy and breaks his soul a little bit in the diner of Pig. Our second here is the Gabriel reveal from Malignant. If you saw Malignant, you will remember at least this part of Malignant, and I won't want to spoil anything else. The next, I have a scene from No Time to Die. It's the fight where Paloma, Anna de Armas' character from No Time to Die, her and Daniel Craig's Bond team up, and it was definitely a standout sequence. And I think within that sequence, we focused on the scene where they're kind of at the bar and they're drinking, having a conversation while at the same time fighting the bad guys. And I thought it was a really fun way to show Bond and how much his character has changed. The next scene we have on here is from Coda, when Ruby sings to her father. We praised Troy Coster earlier for his performance and how he got nominated at the Oscars and everything. And I think this one scene here solidified that nomination. So great scene for him. And last, we have a scene that was a long time coming and had a lot of things kind of up in the air if it was going to work out or not. And they managed to pull it off, the impossible, with the Spider-Man rooftop scene where we saw Spider-Man come together. We saw the crossover of generations finally happening, and it all kind of centered within the arc of the main character. So we decided to nominate the rooftop scene from Spider-Man as our last slot here for the scene of the year.
Hey, I've seen 4 of these.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely like how we have a nice balance. We have like the nice kind of angry scene from Pig. We have kind of a cool horror movie moment in Malignant. We have a fun action scene in No Time to Die. And then we have more of a heartwarming scene from Coda. And then obviously one that's just pure nostalgia from from No Way Home, Spider-Man. So good balance of various different types of moments in movies, which I like.
Yeah, a great year of movies and a great year of scenes, and I think so many between the crazy reveal of Malignant like that, people would not stop talking about that and debating about whether it was a good scene or a bad scene. And I think some of that came up in my debate here, where it's like, okay, maybe not the best scene of the year, but at least one of the most prominent scenes of the year, So it was fun to do this list in particular because you had to go back and really think about what you watched and some of the standout moments and the stuff you remember talking about and thinking about afterwards, more so than just an individual cool scene. So this was a fun one to put together.
Yep. All right, and our next one is a flip of that, and that is the worst scene of the year. And we have Evil Dies Tonight from Halloween Kills, a nice trailer moment. We have If I Could Tell Her from Dear Evan Hansen. We have the J. Edgar Hoover phone call from Being the Ricardos. The post-credits bullshit from Don't Look Up. So, you're watching Don't Look Up, you get to the credits, I think you can just stop watching the movie at that point. And then, obviously, singing to Aquaman's gross shirt and the Snyder Cut, because that's a scene that movie needed.
It wasn't long enough.
I'll be honest, I've only seen one of these, and that's singing to Aquaman's gross shirt. So,
I've seen
and that's Dear Evan Hansen.
Is that not what I said?
I've seen all of these. What? No, I've seen all of these scenes. I can't say I've seen Halloween Kills all the way through, and I definitely haven't seen Dear Evan Hansen. But Tristan was kind enough to show me the scene from that, and instantly it became my number one worst scene of the year. So very excited for this category. It goes against a lot of our other ones because most of them are positive. This might be our only negative one, and they're all very deserving.
Yeah, having seen Halloween Kills, I don't know what can beat Evil Dies Tonight, but I'm sure these are worse.
Yeah, Evil Dies Tonight was pretty rough, and that one stood out to me, not just because it was so bad, but because it was like one
Repeated.
single line that you could point to be like, look how bad this entire movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to see some Dear Evan Hansen representation though on our awards. We got to get the musical of the year on the list somehow, and at least it was for maybe not the best place to put it, and back in the early parts of the year, I predicted to have Dear Evan Hansen an acting nomination, and that didn't pan out that way, So I had to throw some, maybe not some love, but some tribute to the movie that I was very excited for, and then I saw it, and it was me and one high school girl and her mom, and that was the only people in the whole theater.
Yeah, I learned and covered a song from that before it came out, and then heard the movie was bad and never saw it.
Nice.
I'll say on here the one that I think is maybe not even the standout worst scene of the year, but it makes it so bad that it is the climax of such a driving plot point of the film is the scene from Being the Ricardos. That is supposed to be the everybody gets up and clap moment, and it's one of the stupidest, most out of touch things I've ever seen in a screenplay in modern times. So that one, I'm kind of pulling for it because I think Being the Ricardos deserves some hate after getting way too much Oscar attention.
Yeah, that's the one scene where it's like they had the opposite impact on me that they were going for. It was supposed to be the big emotional finale where you're crying in your seat and you're like, oh my God, it's finally, she's finally been proven to be who she truly is. And I was fully laughing. I was actually like, my stomach hurt after the end of this movie from laughing at it. So I think it deserves a spot on this list for sure. It's one of the worst scenes.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed that the entirety of Space Jam 2: A New Legacy didn't ultimately make the list, but it is what it is.
Maybe the next category.
Yeah, maybe.
Joe tried to nominate every single scene from Sweet Home Alone. So
Home Sweet Home Alone.
Yeah, it looked terrible.
Yeah, it was not good.
So watch our review on Disney Plus show. Me and Joe did a review of Home Sweet Home Alone. He was a lot more positive than I was.
Basically, because I expected that movie to be atrocious, and it was only just bad, But anyways, we have our next category, and that is our best straight-to-streaming film, and I believe Johnny is going to be reading off those nominations.
Speaking of Home Sweet Home Alone.
Yeah, I think it is important to...
Yep.
Yeah, right. I think it's important to see films in theaters, but at a time that it's difficult to go do that and you don't want to risk anything by going, I'm very thankful for straight to streaming. So there's one on here that I don't there's a couple on here that I think are questionable, but here are our five. We have Dune from HBO Max. We have Malignant from HBO Max. We have The Harder They Fall from Netflix. The Mitchells versus the Machines, also from Netflix, and Zack Snyder's Justice League from HBO Max. Yeah, there's a mixed bag there.
Yeah, nice.
I wonder who voted for that one.
A nice, diverse group of movies, that people should definitely watch, and then also Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's a...
Yeah, I liked it. Tristan and I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell who the split.
Yeah, we're split on that, and it's funny, we're split on that in one way, and then we're completely split on Malignant in the opposite way of Bobby and I having similar thoughts, and then Tristan and Joe being behind that.
No, I liked Malignant. It's just weird. Like,
oh, never mind. No, Bobby's dumb too.
Yeah, all three of us liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow this became the most divisive category where we all have really passionate feelings about all the movies nominated. But yeah, I love to see Zack Snyder's Justice League make the cut. I had to get it on this list for the whole journey of it getting there, and the fact that I feel like for a streaming movie, the one that actually did drop on streaming. A lot of these, like, they were straight to streaming, but they also are in theaters, you know. So for me, I like to get that one in there. And Mitchell vs. the Machines, I think, is a really good nomination here too, because because it went straight to streaming, I think it got a bigger hit than it would have otherwise, you know. And the fact that it was on Netflix, ready to go, I think is a big reason a lot of people watched it, and I think that led it to the Oscar nomination that it's gotten. So if Mitchell vs. Machines went to theaters through Sony like it was originally going to, I don't know if it gets the praise and the love that it has gotten because of its availability on Netflix.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say I think it's very funny that Bobby's had 2 categories now that he has to read the same name that he cannot pronounce.
Which brings
Which
us
one am I at now?
acting
We're in-
newcomer.
That's
Acting
newcomer in
newcomer.
acting.
Okay. Yeah, how do you say that name? I didn't hear anyone correct me.
I don't know.
Well, I'm on delay.
Yeah.
So it's Agatha Roussel.
It is okay, because the E at the end of the first name I wasn't sure on. So let's see. Our nominations are what Johnny said. You know, Agatha Roussel from Titane, Leslie Grace from In the Heights, Rachel Sennett from Shiva Baby, Rachel Zegler from West Side Story, and Sania Sidney from King Richard.
I really wish we had found a way to get more veteran actors in here. It just seems like a bunch of newcomers, you know?
Yeah, where's
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
don't look up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen one of these movies, King Richard, and so yeah, that's the one I'm pulling for.
I've seen In the Heights, and Leslie Grace is great, so I'd be good with her winning. But I think Tristan, Johnny, I think you watched some of it, but not all of it, right?
In the Heights?
Yeah.
I made it 2 minutes in and I had to turn it
Yeah.
off.
So never mind. So no, Tristan and I have seen it, so we'll fight for her.
I don't think I even know who Leslie
but
Grace plays in
She's
that.
going to be Batgirl.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is exciting. Like, some of these are breakout stars, but I also wanted to look at, like, okay, when you're the debuting is essentially not necessarily your first acting role, but this is like you're coming out as an actress. Like, what is your future looking like? You know, and when I look at Leslie Grace, I thought, okay, she had this coming out role in the Heights, but now she's also signed on to something big that's going to kind of like push her career in a new direction. So I'm excited to see her future. I think Agatha Roussel in Titane, she gets such a dedicated performance in that role, very physical, very like open performance, something that is very hard for a new actress, I would imagine, to do. And it was a moving performance to have her in that role. So yeah, I think it's a good list here. I think if we had seen Licorice Pizza before we'd made these nominations, I think Alana Haim could have gotten her way in here because she has gotten a lot of awards and a lot of praise, but we hadn't seen it to get her in there yet, so she didn't make the cut for us.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say about it is I feel like everyone in this category was an actress and not many like newcomer, you know, male actors, and I think that I think that's a good thing for Hollywood, and there's a lot of bright future there. The one that I will say too kind of missed the cut that I was rooting for was Kaylee Hoddle from Godzilla vs. Kong. I thought she was awesome in that movie, and she's so young and just crushes it. She's like the best performance of the whole movie, and I know it's a blockbuster, but she's great. And then the one guy too he is in Stranger Things, so it's hard to say he's a newcomer to acting, but Caleb McLaughlin is really, really good in Concrete Cowboy, and I think that film showed that he could be a movie star, not just like the kid from Stranger Things. He's kind of one of the last ones to break out from that and like from It, and he's kind of like the same age group, and I want to see him do more roles. He was really good in that movie.
All right. Tristan, you ready to read off Best Directorial Debut?
I'm ready. I finally get my category to struggle to say the names on. Okay. So the first one we got here is Edson Oda for 9 Days. We next up have Emma Seligman for Shiva Baby. We then have Fran Krantz for Mass. And we have Michael Sarnowski for Pig. And we're ending it with the debut of Saint Maud on the list for Rose Glass for the director of Saint Maud.
Right.
I like this list here. I think it definitely lines up sometimes with our actress list. You know, we see crossover here for Shiva Baby, so I think the fact that the director and the actress both stood out to us shows that that's going to be one to watch. So that could definitely be one that comes in for the win. And we said it before, but there's a strong variety here, and I like that we got Pig in there because we're trying to get
Oink,
some Pig
oink.
representation,
Yeah.
and a lot of these got totally shut out from Oscars and other awards too. So it was fun to do this list where it was a lot of stuff that we didn't get to talk about otherwise. So I liked doing this one.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Anyone else have thoughts on directorial debut?
Go Pig.
Go Pig. Exactly. All right. Johnny doesn't look like he has anything. He's a little bit on delay, but he's kind of over there not doing nothing. So I
Yep.
will read off.
I can't really hear you guys very well.
This will be fun.
Well, I will read off the nominees for Best Cinematography, which is my favorite category, a category I care a lot about and put a lot of hard work and thought into. And so the Movie Changeup nominees for Best Cinematography: Andrew Droz Palermo from The Green Knight, Ari Wegner, The Power of the Dog, Bruno Delbano, The Tragedy of Macbeth, Greg Fraser from Dune, and Linus Sandgren from No Time to Die. So yeah, all iconic, legendary cinematographers that everyone knows. So glad we could show them some love. Tristan, I know you're not a big cinematography guy. You're like, as long as I can see their faces, I'm good to go. So we don't need to hear your opinion. Bobby, what are your thoughts?
Oh, okay, Joe.
There you go. I mean, Tristan can talk about it, but I can say, I have seen No Time to Die. That looks great. So does Dune. But just seeing what they did with Tragedy of Macbeth and how that was shot, I don't like that being so unique. Could be something that I think stands out. But what do you think, Tristan?
Yeah, I love this category. I think even at the Oscars, this is one of the categories they definitely got more right than others, and I think it shows on our list here because a lot of these did get Oscar nominations as well. But I'm glad that we got Tragedy of Macbeth in there. To me, that's the one that I really love to see sneak in here because that is such a gorgeous looking movie, and it looks like nothing that's out right now. You know, in the way that it feels like a throwback to the old 30s and even 20s movies where it was like very expressionistic silent film, and it feels like it's purposefully using that kind of old language to tell this old story in a really powerful way. So I think it all kind of came together in a really great way for Tragedy of Macbeth. So I'd love to see that. But yeah, Green Knight, really expressive cinematography too. I love the color work in there. I love how he created this kind of fable world where it's very much the medieval world we know, but also kind of not. You know, it feels unique to itself. And as for creating a unique world, of course, Dune, beautiful craft of a world, and you had a lot to live up to, and also a lot to kind of live up to the bad image of. Like they had a movie that came out that was not necessarily well received, and a lot of that was because of the way it looked and because of the kind of like the overly goofiness of it, and they had to really climb that barrier. And I think the cinematography is what made that movie stand out for me personally. And just it was a gorgeous one to watch. So yeah, this was a good category here. I had a great time making this list and thinking back and trying to make sure I could cover my favorites, but also throw some stuff like No Time to Die in there, where it was a really well shot action movie that I think deserves love too.
All right. And Johnny, you ready to read off Best Overall 2021? Eventually.
Yeah. I am excited for this category. It's something different that Oscars and stuff and most awards don't really recognize people for a body of work, but we really wanted to for this. So our nominations for the best overall 2021 based on body of work, we have Adam Driver for House of Gucci, Annette, and The Last Duel. We have Andrew Garfield from Tick Tick Boom, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Spider-Man No Way Home. These are obviously not everything these people did this year, but it's kind of like the highlighted ones that we thought were worth mentioning. We have Rebecca Hall directing Passing, starring and being great in The Night House, and starring in a big blockbuster Godzilla versus Kong. We also have Ridley Scott with a big comeback year. Everyone kind of thought his comeback was The Martian. He kind of faltered since then. And then this year, he had The Last Duel and House of Gucci, which are both, to me, both awesome, very entertaining movies in different ways than each other. The Last Duel is an excellent film, and House of Gucci is kind of a dumb but super entertaining one. And then we have Ryosuke Hamaguchi, who directed Drive My Car, and I believe he wrote Wife of a Spy, and I think he wrote Wheel of Fortune Fantasy as well.
I believe he also
So
directed
those
Wheel of Fortune and
that's a
Fantasy
very
too.
strong year. Okay, all right. Well, hell yeah, that's impressive. Another guy getting 2 movies out and then writing a third. So I like those categories or those nominations for this category for sure.
This was definitely a fun one because, of course, you're looking at the body of work, but I also couldn't help but look at the general like pop culture view of some of these people. And you look at Andrew Garfield and how much of the year was spent talking about Andrew Garfield, and I think that's like an accomplishment in itself that he was like a center of pop culture for the whole year, and not only that, but then he gets to be like a leading Oscar contender and he gets to ultimately be in a really big, successful movie and then give a performance that people were really into and give a performance that people were like, oh, we need more of him. And it was like the ending note of the year was like, give us more Andrew Garfield. So I feel like he got to end the year on top as like the king of like fan culture online. So I thought it's a great award to give him if he's not necessarily going to get like the acting nomination or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone else have final thoughts on overall 2021? No?
I'll say the surprise one left out might be Benedict Cumberbatch. He had a good year with The Courier and The Power of the Dog and the weird movie where he paints cats on Netflix, but also being a small role in Spider-Man. So he was in a ton of stuff this year, and that looks like it's going to continue throughout the next few years because he keeps getting announced for upcoming movies. So power to him, but he didn't quite make the cut.
All right, and that brings us to, I believe,
Overall
Bobby.
sound.
Yep, Bobby with best overall sound.
Yeah, and this is a combination of the score, the soundtrack, songs, and sound editing and design. So just overall sound, we have The Killing of Two Lovers, Dune, Annette, No Time to Die, and The Harder They Fall. And I've only seen No Time to Die and Dune of this list, and I think those are both very worthy nominees for sure. I would probably pick probably Dune, although No Time to Die was also very good. Johnny, what do you think in a few seconds?
Yeah, I don't know when my delay starts and kicks in here, but The Harder They Fall has an amazing soundtrack and it has really great sound effects every time you get like cool gunshots in old westerns. Like people don't exactly credit that the way they should. Same with No Time to Die. I love the score. Obviously, you get the Billie Eilish song, which really grew on me over time, and now I really enjoy. And then you get a lot of those moments with the cars and the chases and the explosions and the gunshots and silencers and things like that people don't necessarily credit to normally being like best sound design. Annette has an incredible soundtrack. Dune, same thing. Like you get the sound of the worms, you get the sound of the weapons and the shields, as well as a great score. And The Killing of Two Lovers is a really small one that Tristan and I both checked out, and it has just such a great use of sound that's hard to describe if you haven't seen the movie because it's score as well as just it's a silent scene and then there's one sound that kind of draws your attention. It does it very well. So that was really well crafted.
All right, Tristan, Any thoughts on sound?
No, it's a really good list here, though, and yeah, I want to definitely shout out The Killing of Two Lovers, and that sound design was really, really interesting, and nothing like I'd seen in the rest of the year in terms of the way its score and sound effects all kind of like weaved into this one thing, and really drew you into the perspective of the character and his kind of mental state as he was because the story is about a man who is recently going through a separation from his wife, and she has a new boyfriend, and he's not really sure how to deal with that because they have kids, and it's kind of the slow social decay of this guy as he's realizing that what he thought was his stable life is starting to fall apart. So you get the sound design of this kind of growing hecticness in his head, where it's kind of normal sound design at the beginning of the movie, but as it goes along, it's kind of ramping up. And I thought it was a really unique way to bring the sound into the movie. So that is definitely my pick of one that in no world would you be getting like an Oscar nomination, but one that I think should be getting some attention, and especially if you want to highlight smaller movies that aren't with big name actors or anything like that. This is small name actors in a smaller movie that I thought was really great.
All right, yeah. For me, it's probably between No Time to Die and The Harder They Fall, just because the No Time to Die I think had the better sound mixing, but The Harder They Fall definitely to me had the better soundtrack. So that's probably what I would go for between those two. But that also brings us to Tristan reading off Best Ending.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have our last category here be best ending.
Well, we have one more after that. And that's
Oh,
the
of
big
course.
one.
Well, outside of the main category, the big one.
Oh, we have one more.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do, Johnny. So the last subcategory here, before the last one, is endings. We have Lamb. We have No Time to Die. We have Pig. We have Saint Maud. And we have The Green Knight. I think this is a really good list of endings here, from the zany kind of memorable ending of Lamb to the really kind of emotional power punch of Pig at the end. And of course, No Time to Die also has the emotional power punch. And I love the ending of No Time to Die because it's not just the ending of the movie, it's also the ending of Bond as a whole franchise. Of course, not the actual end of the franchise, but it serves as an endpoint, and it feels like the first time you've seen the end of a Bond, a culmination of a Bond, truly giving him like a finale. So I think that's a really good choice. And I wanted Saint Maud in here too. I'm glad that made the cut because I wanted to highlight its very cool ending, and it literally down to like the last single second of the shot. Like they give you a frame at the end of the movie that is so intense. And when I think of ending, I think it's cool to have literally the ending. Like the last couple of frames of the movie are going to jolt you right awake to that one. So yeah, I'm glad Saint Maud made the cut here. Anybody else got some feelings about these nominations?
Yeah, The Green Knight is probably my favorite ending of the year, and people are going to be split on it because people don't always like ambiguity with their endings, but I think this one has a level of that. It kind of leads up to it, and then you can kind of debate on what's the true ending, what happens next, and I love a good ending like that because it's one that keeps you talking about it, keeps you thinking about it, makes you want to rewatch it, and it does a really great job with that.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Green Knight yet. It's my number one movie I want to watch. And as far as ambiguity, whatever that word is, endings, the ones I like are ambiguous. There we go. I've got that eventually. Endings are the ones where it's like an either or type of thing of like which way is it. The ones where it's so much where it's kind of ends and but in the ending it's like, well, what does it all mean? Those are the ones where I'm like, all right, get the fuck out of here with your movie.
We'll see how you feel about The Green Knight.
All right, and so that brings us to our final category of Best Picture. And the Movie Changeup nominations for Best Picture for 2021 are Last Night in Soho, Malignant, 9 Days, Old Henry, Pig, Spencer, The Green Knight, The Last Duel, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and finally, The Tragedy of Macbeth. So we will see how it all shakes out. Probably reveal our winners the night before the week before the Oscars or so. Maybe the week after, just to be like, hey, the Oscars sucked. You didn't enjoy the winner. Come enjoy our winner. So, yeah. Anyone have any final thoughts on our nominations?
No, it was really fun to put this list together. I thought it was great to go through and narrow it down and to kind of argue over what ones are going to make the cut and which ones are not. So it'll be great to see who actually wins. And yeah, I hope you guys leave comments and let us know what you think of our nominations. Tell us how we're idiots and we missed this and that. Yeah, let us know how wrong we are or if we were right about one or two picks even. Be nice once in a while. But yeah, it'll be fun to see who wins, and I can't wait to see the conversation about these picks.
Yeah, me and Tristan get enough hate online this week, so be nice, damn it.
To get for tweeting about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'll live.
And whatever the hell Tristan was talking about. Oh, also Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, but personally, I'm looking forward to, before we do our reveal, just watching a few more of these movies so I can have a little bit more input, because there's a lot that are definitely on my list. Green Knight, I kind of forgot about until tonight, so I will go back and try to give that one a watch, because it's one that I did miss earlier in the year. So hoping to enjoy that. But yeah, this was a lot of fun just seeing what we picked compared to what the Oscars did.
All right. Anyone have anything else they want to add before I sign off? Nope.
Go Malignant, Best Picture.
Fuck the Oscars. We're better.
Go
Yeah.
Pig.
So, without further ado, goodbye.